It's week 5 in college football. This is Into the Weekend with BetDSI. I'm Peter Loshak. You're watching SBR videos. Brent, thanks for being back with us this week. Of course, the first game I have to ask you about, I'm sure everyone's wondering about, Alabama and Georgia. Everyone's talking about how Alabama's an underdog for the first time in like 7 years or whatever it is. Are the Sharps betting on Alabama as an underdog?
Is a quick answer, no.
Okay, not a shock there, I guess.
No. It's my count is actually about 2-1 in favor of Alabama. My count again is in terms of the actual number of wagers I've taken. My money does favor Alabama again, but it's a weird game in that, like, as of right now, again, this is Thursday afternoon. I have absolutely no sharp money involved on the side at all. Even the total. I mean, I've got good money going back and forth over and under the 53, but in terms of sharp action, I don't have anything. I mean, I can tell you that, like, Bowling Green, Buffalo, Wyoming, App State, Florida International, UMass. Those 3 games all have more action individually than Alabama and Georgia does right now.
Wow.
It's really weird. Like, the volume's really, really low, and these other games are kicking it compared to them, which is really, really strange. But again, I mean, our numbers typically get bigger when sharp guys are involved because you're looking at guys who play 3, 5, and 10 at a time as opposed to, nickels and dimes. So my count favoring Alabama, yeah, you could say it's a public side right now, but sharp's not involved at all.
All right, well, that doesn't surprise me. And then usually in these intro games, I ask you about ranked teams, but I'm going to ask you about Oregon, Colorado right now because Oregon, of course, is not ranked. Oregon obviously is in the midst of a steep decline from their heights as an elite team. And this line opened, I saw 12 at some books. Now it's all the way down to 7 or 7.5. I'm assuming all that early movement was driven by sharp action on Colorado. Or is that not true?
I mean, honestly, a lot of the action that came in early on Colorado was guys who just kind of maybe have a better idea of the number than we do. There's guys who are going to look at a number and say, that's not the right number. These guys are more people who maybe should be making up the lines in the first place. And there's other guys who handicap aside and say, this team's going to crush and they're going to win by this much. So the money that I mostly got early on Colorado, again, I didn't start taking Colorado action until around plus 10. Mm-hmm. It was respectable money and big money, but guys who typically play the fact that the line's going to move in their favor. Mm-hmm. The money we did get on Oregon was -7, so we're actually not too bad in terms of the action on the side. It's probably about 2-1 money-wise favoring Oregon, which is not huge, but Oregon is definitely a public side in terms of the count. I'm talking like it's almost like 10-1 in favor of Oregon. So
wow.
Oregon's -7.5 right now on the road at Colorado. So I guess people are they've got that Oregon mentality right now that they're going to crush a team like Colorado and be able to roll up 70 points or something like that. But no, at this point, nothing really sharp involved. Again, just guys who played numbers were taking Colorado plus 10. When it came down to -7, the same type of guy in terms of a player who will look for value in the number, laid Oregon -7. We're sitting 7.5 right now. I can see that number creeping up just because the count is so one-sided in favor of Oregon. I do have sharp money on the total. Under 70.5 was sharp. Mm-hmm. Right now we're at 69.5. Our count, as typically you expect, is about 3-1 in terms of the number of wagers I've taken over in Oregon. So that's kind of like a public correlation. They'll bet Oregon, they'll bet the over, the same thing. So the only sharp thing I do have on that game is the total under 70.5.
Wow, all right. So the real top list guys have completely passed as yet on this game. And I'm assuming that because they could have had, Colorado when it opened at over 10 and they could have had Oregon at -7, if they thought there was value one way or another, they would have already bitten. Or is that not true?
I would say that's correct, Peter.
Okay, but sharp action did come in on the under in that one. Thanks so much, Brent. And then I just want to ask you about Notre Dame, Clemson, big marquee matchup. Have the Sharps bitten on that game either way?
Yeah, I mean, I would say the sharp action we did take was on Clemson when it was at a pick. We're sitting at Clemson -1.5 right now. Notre Dame, the dog, is kind of like an attractive position for the public, as you expect. But my count is pretty much dead even on this. The money actually favors Clemson because, again, it was sharper money that I took on Clemson. But pretty much it was just like one guy who's very, very sharp jumped on Clemson when it was at a pick. We're up to 1.5 right now. Haven't really got anything, substantial back on Notre Dame, and I haven't really got anything more on Clemson at that point. So we're sitting at 1.5 right now. Based on our money right now, we need Notre Dame, but our count indicates that we're probably going to get 2-way action from here forward.
Okay, well, last week was a big week, both in terms of sharp action and public action. Now, week 5, what can you tell us about notable sharp action that you've taken this week, Brent?
How did we do with the sharp plays that we have on the show last week, Peter?
I think pretty well. I didn't track them, but I'm pretty sure they did well, right? How did they do?
Would you say like 6 wins and 2 losses is pretty well?
Hey, listen, congratulations to the Sharps, and congratulations to anyone who tailed those picks in our show, and congratulations to you, Brent. I'm assuming you tailed those picks as well, right?
Whoa, well, yeah, I keep my money in my pocket.
Okay.
I don't want to be emotionally or financially invested in the outcome of any of these games. We got usually have big enough decisions as it is. There is one game this week that I wanted to mention that, like, if I asked you, just say to guess the highest volume game on the board, you would never come up with Texas San Antonio at UTEP, would you?
Wow. No, not at all. That one I really wouldn't, even as a joke. I would have maybe gone with, maybe a Bowling Green game or something like that. I did notice that there was big line movement on the game.
Yeah, there was a lot of movement on this game. It was like a pick on Texas San Antonio all the way up to like 3. Again, a lot of the bets that we got on Texas San Antonio early were guys who are just playing a move, not so much a side. Mm-hmm. The money that I got the other side on UTEP, though, I did get very sharp action. I actually have 3 different guys. We're talking about the list that we have. UTEP +4, UTEP +4 -15, and UTEP +3.5 was all sharp. Now we're sitting at 3.5 dog 15 right now. I could see that number going down just because the sharper action was clearly on UTEP. And the total as well. I got a ton of action on the total. It's really quite one-sided, but under 59 and 58.5 was sharp. So Texas San Antonio and UTEP, this is easily the highest volume game we have of the week. Again, sharp action on UTEP +4, +3.5.
Wow.
And the under 59 was where the first sharp bet came in there. Getting to our sharp stuff, Miami and Ohio, Kent State under 47 was very sharp. Again, I have 2 different guys on that. Again, the total's 44.5 right now. They were under 47.
Yeah.
I got a little bit of action back around 44 on the over there, but still, it's like way one-sided on the under. So we're going to need the over. But again, the 2 guys who got the under 47 really quite sharp. So not going to hold my breath on that. But that was Miami, Ohio, and Kent State. West Virginia is another sharp play. West Virginia +7.5. They're at Oklahoma. Line's all the way down to 6.5 right now. My count's pretty much even, but my money's very one-sided from the West Virginia, almost about 2-1. That's almost what we're going to call a public and sharp split there. Moving down, Duke and Boston College, that's another case where I've got probably about 3 times the number of bets on Boston College, but I have the sharp money on Duke. Duke -6.5 was sharp. Wow. We're running 7 right now. That's another sharp play there. What do I got here for you? Another total here was Texas Tech and Baylor. The under, that number was just astronomical, coming out at 90. So the under 90 was sharp, under 89.5 was sharp, under 89 was sharp. We're down to 87.5 right now. And again, our count almost 10-1 on the over, and that's public money driving the over, sharp's pounding the under back. So that's definitely a sharp play when you get 3 different bets: under 90, 89.5, and 89, sitting at 87.5 right now. Oregon, Colorado, we touched on that. The under 7.5 was sharp. Vandy at Middle Tennessee State. Middle Tennessee State +1 and a pick was both sharp. I've got some public money back on Vanderbilt. Counts about 2.5, 3-1 in favor of Vandy. Money's almost 2-1 in favor of Middle Tennessee State. So sharp money on Middle Tennessee State +1 and at a pick. South Alabama and Troy. Got sharp money on the total there, under 62.5 and 62. We're all the way down to 61 right now. Again, public just generally is going to bet the over, so I do have public money on the over as well, but definitely sharp action on that one. UTEP we already touched on being sharp, +4 and +3.5. And also the under in that same game. The total was played at under 59 and 58.5. And the last one I have is New Mexico. They're at home to New Mexico State. Sharp action on New Mexico -11.5. We're up to 12.5 right now, Peter.
Awesome information as always, Brent. The under sharp on Baylor, Texas Tech. Thanks so much. We'll talk to you again tomorrow for NFL Week 4.